Hit that. Good evening, guys and gals, and welcome to a special St. Patrick's Day Ghost to Ghost PM. Over here beside me, we got Jessie from Jessie's
Hello,
Histories
everybody.
and Mysteries. How you doing tonight, girl?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, so far so
Just
good.
say,
I woke up this
just say
morning,
top
wiggled
of
my
the
toes in
evening
the
to you.
carpet. Oh yeah, there you go. Top of the evening to you, Lassie.
Yeah. So you got up and wiggled your toes?
Got up, wiggled my toes. I knew it was a hell of a start to the day. Any day
There
you
you
can wake
go.
up and wiggle your piggies in the carpet, it's a good start. I ain't gonna promise how
That's
it
right.
ends, but it's a good start.
Yep.
Let me see
Start a whole new
who
day.
all we got in here. Who all we got in here? Let me get back up here to the beginning here. There is Mystical Love and Light. There's Tony York. Let me see here. Jared King, Mr. King. Oh, let me see. Who else we got? Who else we got? Who else we got? Come on down here. Come on down. There is Cindy right there, exploring the unseen in vlog. Carrie, good evening, dear. Good to see you. Steven, what's up, my friend? Good to see you, bud. There's Mr. York back again. Evening, folks. Redneck Wookie, what is up, brother? My Irish friend with all that red hair. You sexy. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Christine, hello, dear. Good to see you. Adrian, hello. Let me see. 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 I think that covers it.
Nice to see you too.
So, I'm not going to pitter patter around. I'm not going to tap dance. I need to find out what got you involved in. We'll cover both your channels because you have your paranormal channel. You got your history and mysteries. But
Mhm.
what got you interested first in the history and the mysteries that history left behind?
Um, we live in a pretty small town, and there are so many people with so many stories about history, legends, and that generation is dying off. So, I just wanted to capture their stories on film because long after we're gone, our videos are still going to be on the internet unless YouTube knocks them off. So, even still, they'll be saved somewhere. But it's just a way to chronicle history for future generations to learn about. They could drive by a place that no longer exists, and they would never know something was there, or there was a story about this, that, and the other. And the paranormal comes in because that's part of the legends, and you can't have the paranormal without knowing the history of why something happened, to help you understand possibly why paranormal things might be going on in a location. And plus, I love visiting, neat old cemeteries. And it's amazing when you go to a place and you look somebody up and you can actually find out some history about them. This person's somebody that's could just be forgotten to everybody. And just different things like that. And yeah, I'm interested in the paranormal side because I guess I have been my whole life. I had experience when I was a child, and that just carried on into my adulthood.
I see. That was my next question. Is how old were you when you got involved, or you got interested, I should say, with the
Yeah,
paranormal and
I
and what
can't
got you
remember
interested?
I can't remember not ever liking that stuff. I remember when I was a kid, I would see things. And uh, there was an old chimney in our backyard in the woods when we lived in Tennessee. And I always tell my sister witch lived there. Now, why I said that, I don't know. I said, we can't go back there. The witch is still back there. I don't know. I said that. But nobody had ever lived in that neighborhood before. It was a brand new neighborhood. We were the first ones to live in a brand new house. And when I was about 7, we had a garage that led into a room, and then you could go through that room and then go up the stairs into the living room. Well, there in that garage, the door was shut to that room, and my dad always made these shotgun shells, the kind you just press and fix.
Mm-hmm.
And I had gotten a bunch of them and threw them against that door. I was mad at a neighbor's kid, and the shells hit that door, and I saw a white skeletal glowing hand come out from under that door and like touch those shells, and they come rolling back at me, and they made like a semicircle around me like this. And I was just little. It scared the living crap out of me. And I ran out of the garage and outside and then to the front door. And mother believed me because she said she'd never seen me in that state in my life. So I've I don't know. I guess I've always been chicken and always scared of stuff. And uh, when I got older, mother and I watched a lot of ghost hunting shows together and everything. Well, she passed away in 2018, and
Mm-hmm.
I started doing my channel right a few months after that. And I guess it's helped me overcome a lot of my fears about certain things and given me more confidence in that department. And I've always known my mother and I think even my sister have got a little bit of abilities in certain areas. And the first place back off the back 40 I went to on my own, I didn't know it was so far back off the road. I got out, and the first thing I felt, it wasn't like I heard it in my ear. I just knew it said, "What are you doing here?" And so I was just a little cautious about how I handled myself. And a friend of mine went up there a few days after that and had a thing on his phone to do voices. And it popped up and said, "What are you doing here?" So that was really
Wow.
funny. So I can be some places, and that particular cemetery, I always capture stuff. And one day I thought to myself, okay, and there's always this one camera I use. I thought, okay, where's the spirit? And I turn and I flash the camera. And I've done a video proving that this isn't fake. I show the picture as it is, and then I zoom into it, like literally on camera. And you can see a soldier it looks like a chalk outline of him, but you can see him plain as day. And I showed it to my dad, and he said, "Yeah, he's smoking a corncob pipe, and he's got an eagle on his shoulder and all this stuff." So that was really pretty interesting. But I've I've had some pretty crazy experiences where I've thought go this way or not go that way, and so I feel led to certain places sometimes. But
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty crazy. But
Now, before the stream started, we had a chance to talk a little bit. You was talking about an investigation about your dad being like the ultimate skeptic, and you had you done one investigation that kind of sort of flip flopped his way of feeling. Was you going to save that story for something later, or?
No, yeah. I think everybody pretty much already knows about that. Went to this place in Tennessee called Antoinette Hall. Shoot, I wished I could remember what city it's in. Excuse me, but basically what happened is these people were going to rent out a building to have plays in. And they rented out the building, and they said, "Well, what's upstairs?" And they said, "I don't know. Haven't ever gone up there." So they went up there, and they opened up the doors and saw some really old office places. And then there were these two ginormous doors, and they opened it up, and it was an old opera hall. Really cool. They didn't even know it was there. But they've started having paranormal investigations there. Well, I did get a lot of okay stuff there. I expected to get more than what I did. But my dad went with me, and we were down in the basement of the actual building where they did the plays. And I know there's a bathroom kind of over above where we were sitting, but they said that there was a vortex down in the basement, and that a lot of crazy things have come through, mostly Native American stuff. And the Trail of Tears, I think, had gone through there. So we were sitting there in the dark just listening, and you could hear the sound above us of what sounded like heavy boots on a wooden floor, and just tromping really hard. And we were like, "What is that?" And I got it on camera, and Dad was the first one to hear it, and he was like, "What is that?" So when we came out, there was two ladies, that was running the tour in there. And we said, "Did anybody go to the bathroom while we were down there?" She said, "No." I said, "Did one of y'all walk that way?" And she's like, "No." So we get outside the building, and the other group, because we would half up in this building and half up there where the opera house is. So we were taking a break and swapping, and Dad was like, "Let me see your feet. Let me see your feet." He's going to check everyone's feet to see who was wearing the boots. Because he knew it. And he gets on Facebook, like the other day, he made a post. It goes something about my crazy daughter. Everybody knows about my crazy daughter that hunts the ghost. And then I wrote a comment. I said, "But Dad," I said, "how do you explain those boots?" "Well, you're right. I can't explain it." But for him to laugh or make fun, he sure does he calls me sometimes and says, "Come up here and do spirit box at this place," or "I found a neat place over here." And he wants me to travel all over the U.S. doing some stuff with him, but I can't take off work that long. But
yeah,
he wants me to go to Kit Carson's grave. That's his hero, I guess. He wants me to go up there and do spirit box one day. I said, "Maybe we'll make it. I don't know." But yeah, and my husband doesn't go with me to any of these places. I mean, occasionally he will. He's not into this. And I said, "Well, we can go that place and not do paranormal investigation." No. So, but yeah, he can't explain away the pictures he sees. He can't explain away the voices I have him hear. I'm like, "Listen to this." and I did a voice box thing by my mother's grave, and where she's buried, Kevin's dad's right there, and he has a very or had a very distinctive voice, and I heard him come through saying, "We're gonna make it," because I said, "How are y'all doing?" "We're gonna make it," just his voice. I didn't tell him about it for a long time because I thought it would upset him, and then I told him about it recently, and I said, "Do you want to hear it?" And he said, "No." So,
Your
but
dad sounds so much like mine. It's got to be a Southern thing. It has to be a Southern thing because my dad, when I first got involved in the paranormal, my mom was all excited because she used to watch the old ghost hunters and things. She's never been a Ghost Adventures fan, but she always used to like to watch ghost hunters and stuff. And my dad's like, "Oh, I'll go on, have the damn ghost, and no ghosts out there."
yeah.
And I said, "How do you explain when Mom's dad died? You guys were in South Carolina. Mom literally woke you up at 2:30 in the morning and said, 'Honey, Daddy was just here and said he wasn't going to be home when I got there.' And you guys got the call 4 hours later. He died in his sleep. How do you explain that?" "Oh, your mom had a damn dream. Ain't no ghosts out there." Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. She just happened to dream her dad passed away in the night, and he happened to have passed away in the night. So,
I
yeah,
think
people have dreams like
the
that all the time, Pops.
unknown, yeah, I think the unknown just scares people. Um, One day we may know some of that. Of course, we're never going to know all of it because we're not there. But I think we're going to know a lot more. Like we know about the stone tape theory now and different things that could cause certain paranormal events to occur. And it's just the fear of the unknown. Back in the old days, your cow got sick and died. Oh, it's got to be a witch or whatever. People were scared because they didn't know the answer to, oh, well, it was this disease or that happened. And I think it's a
Hmm.
combination of fear and the combination of fear of ridicule to say if I believe in it, then it makes them sound crazy. So, but I think that's a lot of it. And there was something else I was going to say too, and I forgot. George,
Uh,
it done left. The crisis apparition ghost that happened, in what you were describing is a very common thing. Uh, that ghosts will appear to people right after a time of death, or something like that. I guess it's the first thing they think of is their family, and they come to tell them bye, or they even come to take them away. A lot of times people that are sick and dying will see loved ones on, like ICU or whatever, and to them they're very real, and they're there to tell them it's okay to go. And there's a lot of history about things like that. But like talking about just
wow.
off the wall about the stone tape theories, I don't know if everybody knows what that is, but
Mm-mm.
the the material that makes up cassette tapes, I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but say you've got different stones that have different properties in them that would be
Hmm.
similar to a cassette tape. Well, it's like if a tragic events happen or something very emotional happens in a certain area, it could record itself in the walls of the structure or the land if it's got like a lot of limestone. And on certain days, if the weather's right or it's the anniversary of an event, it can replay just like you're pressing play on a VCR or DVD player. And so people are seeing stuff and they're thinking it's a intelligent ghost going to get them, and it's really just a recording of something that happened in the
A
past.
residual,
Residual,
an
residual.
echo.
hmm That's what
Okay. Yeah,
that
we've
is.
ran into that before.
It's recorded itself. If you come across a ghost and they don't see you at all, and you don't have any perception of you whatsoever, it's probably just residual. But it can even record in wood, but it's mostly in stone. And there was a man in a home in England. I don't know what kind of place it was. It was a big museum, I think, and he was working
Mm-hmm.
down in the basement, and he heard a big horn playing, and he didn't know what it was. And the next thing he sees is Roman soldiers walking right in front of him, and he's terrified. He thinks they're going to see him because they were so real. But the thing was, they were kind of cut off at the legs, but they had horses and everything. And he said they looked disheveled and tired. And he described what they were wearing. And everybody, some people said, well, that would be the right type of clothing for that time, but a lot of people didn't believe him. Well, 30 years later, because he was told to keep his mouth shut, they didn't want a
Of
bad
course.
reputation for the building. And so 30 years later, they were doing some renovating down the basement and found an old Roman road, down underneath there. And they said it would make sense that their legs would have been cut off because the road would have been down here, whereas the basement floor was probably up here. So
Oh, yeah. Okay.
yeah. So it was just a residual, because sometimes people say, why do ghosts just walk right through a door or walk right through a wall? Well, maybe when they lived, there wasn't a wall there, or maybe there was a
Mm-hmm.
door there at the time. And, they're doing what they did, and they have no notion that the house is different now if it's a recording. So they're just taking the same path.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why she's some may be floating in the air. Maybe there was a stairway there at one time. I mean. And so a lot of that could be residual. There are intelligent hauntings for sure. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of people get upset, because they're like, well, if we're Christians, we don't believe in that stuff. If there is anything like that, that's the devil. They're trying to deceive you. And I wrestled with that when I first started doing this. But I don't know how to explain it. There's been such weird things that I've encountered that have been bad, but then I have encountered, good spirits that talk back to you, and they're happy that they are talking to them or whatever, or remembering them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some that's just evil. But you just have to be careful when you go ghost hunting, because there's too many. There are elementals or evil spirits out there, so you do have to be careful. And I think, well, a lot of times you see, like on these ghost hunting shows, people get scratched or hurt. What are they doing? They're provoking. So how would you
Yeah.
like somebody come busting into your house and demanding you do stuff, and when you ignore them, they start yelling and screaming, pretty much getting up in your face? I think you're going to scratch them. I think you're going to try to beat the heck out of them. I would. Like, leave me the
Well,
heck
and
alone. This is my space.
last year we started doing a meet and greet type convention here in Michigan. My friend Danny with Southern Michigan Paranormal started doing Ghostorama. And this year we went from one last year. We're doing like 4 or 5 this year in different locations in Michigan. And Danny's been doing the paranormal and stuff for almost 25 years. And I asked him that question last year about, we were discussing a certain television show where everything they run across has to be a demon.
Yeah.
And he said, no, it doesn't. He said, some people were just assholes in life and they're assholes in death.
That's so true.
He said, some people are really good. They've come to terms with the fact that they've passed away. He said, and they are those spirits you see or hear about that's looking over a baby sleeping in its crib, or rattling things in a house, but doing it quietly. Those are the ones that have come to terms with things. They know they've passed on. They're a spirit of a grandmother or a great grandmother or whatever. He said, but some people were just pains in the butt in life, and when they died, they didn't want to change. They're going to continue to be pains in the butt.
Yeah.
So,
And some
so
people get,
I
a lot of people think we got ghosts here now. A lot of people think it's their purgatory. I mean, I don't know.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Now I have to do a quick shout here. Like I said, Jared King, guys, is in the house here tonight. He was helping promote this, bringing folks in and stuff like that. And his own followers know that I was having Jessie on. Jared is actually putting on his own meet and greet / convention tomorrow in Tennessee. And I want to thank him for, coming in and hanging out and, helping us out and stuff like that. Jess, you're going tomorrow, right?
I am. Yeah, I'm definitely going. So it'll be fun. Last time I saw Jared, me and Cindy went. It's been probably a couple of years ago. We went up there and went to a witch's grave, and we went to a park, and we had a lot of fun. There was a covered area, wooden floor, and it was so cold we were skating on our tennis shoes across. But we had a
Wow.
really good time. Yeah, we'd had a good time, so look forward to seeing them again.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I wish I could make it down, but I've got not only are things tight financially right now with grandma just passing and taking
Oh,
a third of our budget away. But
oh,
I've got the Kalamazoo, Michigan Living History Show this weekend. That was the very first video I ever recorded 2 days after starting my original channel on YouTube 4 years ago. So I have to go and do that show again. That's all there is to it. I just have to,
yeah.
you know. But
And it'll be good to get your spirits up. I'm sorry about your grandmother. God.
it it got us, but we're slowly but surely up until April 1st. Now, April 1st is going to be hard on us because that's when we're actually going to put her urn in the ground next to Grandpa. So that's
Ah,
going to be, because right now I've got this big, beautiful purple urn or mauve urn with hummingbirds on
oh,
it sitting right outside my door here. And, every day I come in here because
that
she was
sounds
my
nice.
biggest fan. Whenever I set my tripods and all my equipment on the kitchen table, she knew I was going to do an investigation. And even with
Yeah.
Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and a stroke,
Oh,
she's like, oh, I can't wait. Yeah, I know you're going to come home at 2 o'clock in the morning and start working on that video, and it'll be done
oh,
tomorrow, and we'll watch it. And she was my biggest fan, and
oh, I love that.
you
Yeah,
know,
I know
I'm I'm
my mother
I'm
probably
hoping to
would
get a
have been.
couple. Yeah, I'm hoping to get an investigation in before we put her in the ground. I'm going to take her urn in the bedroom with us where the big screen's at and set it down at the foot of the bed and let her watch it. So,
Oh yeah.
but
Oh my goodness. And she'll be
so,
with you now. Wherever you go, she'll be
oh yeah,
protecting you.
yeah, we know her and Grandpa are both here in the house. There's no doubt of it. The funeral home hadn't had her out of the house for an hour, and everybody just kind of left when they took her body out. And the wife was laying on the couch, and I was sitting in my chair, and I was facing the kitchen doorway, and I saw a shadow move across the cabinet, and I
Oh.
leaned forward and squinted to see if I could see anything move through the doorway, and I didn't. So I mean, I know she's
Huh.
here. Grandpa, we knew he was here because we got beautiful. My wife was taking video on Christmas. Our stepson's had his brand new baby here, and we had grandma and him and the baby on the couch, and you were seeing orbs just moving back and forth between my wife and the baby. It'd go over to grandma, it'd go to
Oh,
Trevor,
wow.
come back. I mean, constant. She had me sit down and edit probably 40 minutes of video, and I got 15 minutes, probably 50 orbs, constantly moving the same path from grandma to the baby to Trevor, back to Steph, over to our daughter, back to Steph, just constant. So we know grandpa's here.
Wow.
So pretty sure
That's
we got them both
amazing.
here for good. But so how many investigations, roughly, off the top of your head, have you done since you became an investigator?
Probably around 300. Sometimes they're not
Wow.
always paranormal investigations. Sometimes it's just going and stopping at a place, taking pictures. But yeah, I'd say, somewhere between 2 and 300. But
Wow.
yeah. But like I said, 99%'s on my own. Or 90% sometimes. It's getting lower now. But yeah,
Yeah, see, that's
I
something
don't.
else that completely shocks me. Guys, this girl goes out on her own. She has got gozers of titanium dangling somewhere. You guys know me, there is no way in the fires of hell that I would go out and do an investigation by myself. This girl goes out with no shit. Bye, honey. I'm going to go hunt some ghosts. I'll see you in a few hours.
Yep. Yep.
What the hell?
He just says, just be careful. Well, when I first
Don't bring
started doing
nothing
it, he
home.
said, yeah, exactly. When I first started doing it, he said, you better sage yourself and everything for you walk in this house.
Every time I go out, I give my wife a kiss goodbye. She goes, don't bring nothing home.
Yep.
If I do, I hope it cooks. Hope it knows how to use a vacuum cleaner. It's one less thing I have to do.
Oh, yeah, I had to.
Oh, God.
I was asked last weekend by that group um, at that camp out I went to. They asked me, have you ever brought anything home? And I said, one time I was at Bellefonte Cemetery, which is down there in Scottsboro. It used to be a big town. It's a ghost town now. And all that's left is just a little bit of something down the road where an inn used to be, and the cemetery. And the cemetery is really old. They used to take really good care of it. Now they've just let it go to pot, and it's very rugged, bunch of holes. And there was something humming in the camera, and every time I go, you can hear the woman humming. But this past time, she went to the car with me humming. You can hear in the video, and I didn't realize it. And yeah, she went home with me. I'd be laying there in the bed by myself, Cam being here watching TV, and you could feel somebody sitting on the bed. And I was like, hell to the no. You gotta go. I went through the house, opened up all the windows, and I'm just saging all over. And I said that. And I said, sweetie, I'll come back and see you, but you can't be here. You gotta go. And I didn't have no more of that after that. I'm like, I've heard people saying something got in the bed with me, something, and I thought, oh my God, I would die. And then it actually happens to you. That's some scary schnit. You know what I'm saying? It's scary.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
That's
Oh,
being
believe I know.
scary. So, no. Yeah. But that was it. Thank God. Thank God.
I smudge the house regularly, and I always carry sage, tobacco, cedar, and sweetgrass with me with my abalone shell and a big turkey feather. So if I feel like I've got into something at an event, as soon as I get out of the car when I come back, before I ever walk in the house, I smudge myself out in the driveway. So I don't like that.
I went to one place that was just really, really haunted. We were getting all kinds of stuff, and it was the outdoor cemetery area. by the water, and my friend said, "Here, sage yourself," because she'd gotten sick being out there. And I saged myself, and I could feel something going, like releasing off me. And that's the first only time that happened. But I was like, "Dang, I'm glad I saged myself." But for those that can see, I'll show a picture. I've only actually seen one ghost, and it was see through. It was at the South Pittsburgh Hospital in Tennessee. And when I was by myself when I saw it, and I told the tour people about it later, and they said, "Oh yeah, we always see that ghost down there." But see if you can, try to get it in there. But it's sitting in a chair. You can see the hands folded in front of it. You can see the legs of the chair. Trying to get it to where it looks a little better. So, but it was at the end of the hall down there on the 3rd floor. And yeah, that was scary. I was like, first of all, I was like, am I saying what I'm saying? I was kind of, you're going there to expect to say something, but you don't expect it when it actually happens. It's pretty shocking. And I was like, oh my God, what in the heck? So, but I would have got closer, but you're by yourself and all these doors are open and it's black, right? Because they don't let you turn the lights on. I kept thinking something's going to come out one of these doors. But I went and got some more people, went back later and showed behind a roped off area where nobody could walk down through there. So, but yeah, that was pretty crazy. And in that same video, I was shining my light to show where it was, and when the light went down, you could see the face of this guy, and he had big old black, solid black eye, and he had like a green nasty wound on his head. And when I told the triple about that, they said when we were cleaning out here, this place up when we got it, they said there was a woman out here had her grandson with her, and he was crying, and he said, "We got to go inside. The man needs help. He's been shot." And so she's always wondered, was that the person that had been shot? So I don't know. It's pretty crazy. But I have I guess probably the craziest investigation I've ever gone to was White's Bridge in Georgia. I did a 3-part thing on that. I've got a playlist on my channel about that, and we had some crazy stuff happen on that one. I definitely want to go back, but that was the place where I saged myself and felt something come off. You know what I mean? I think there was real spirits there, but I think there was some dark stuff there too. Very dark. So I have a feeling something more went down over there than what the legend says. So
now,
definitely.
have you ever gone out and done an investigation that, I mean, people kind of built it up into this amazing, spectacular? You go there, you're gonna hear things, you're gonna see things, you're gonna be touched, you're gonna feel pressure, but you get there and it's just kind of.
I don't know. I've had that happen. Like I've been to South Pittsburgh Hospital 2 or 3 times, and one time I wasn't much going on. That was probably the first time I went. Of course, I didn't make it all night because it was before I had back surgery. And the second time I went, I did get stuff, but I think that's what happens is spirits aren't going to perform on command. It's just going to happen when it happens. Just like when you're fishing, you might have a good day fishing, you might not the next time. So,
True.
Sometimes things, somebody might go somewhere and they have all this crazy stuff happen, and they might build it up, and someone else goes and may not get anything. And sometimes I think it depends on the person and how the spirits react to the person, or what the energy was that night. There's a lot of different factors that go into it. So, But
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know.
exactly. I've heard that about Bobby Mackey's. I mean, that's like supposed to be severely active.
The
But
gates of
I've heard
hell.
of people. Yeah, I've heard of people go in there and say they haven't got a bloody thing the whole time they were there. Not a voice recording,
Real.
not anything on their FLIR, nothing. So
Huh, yeah. And it just may have been on a bad night or no telling. But yeah, and it could, it just might be. There's all kinds of reasons that could play into that. But yeah, I've always wanted to go there, and then not wanted to go there because I've heard it was so bad. Yeah.
hmm
But I want to go to Waverly Hills. But to
oh
go
God,
there
I'd
and
love to go there.
do a private investigation, because the friends that I was talking to at South Pittsburgh, they now help run tours there at Waverly. And they told me that, they've got a room that you can stay in. It's fixed up to be like a little hotel room inside the place. And
hmm
to stay there and do a weekend or whatever, it's like $1,000. And you have to be sitting there December 31st or January 1st, whatever, right at midnight on their website and click it, because they sell out that quick as soon as the year flips. That's how quick they
Oh,
sell out. So, I mean, you can go
yeah,
on group tours, but it's just too hard to get stuff on group tours. There's too many
yeah,
people. They're all running their mouth, and it's, it's hard. I mean, it's fun to go check it out in a group, I guess, but it's much easier when you can go on your own, or if you're in a big place and you have only a few people and they're going to be on this side, you're going to be on that side. Get you some walkie talkies to talk back and forth to each other or something. Where are you at
yeah,
right now? But
exactly.
yeah, it's just too hard to know if you're really catching something when you're in a whole group of people. And so,
Yeah,
but
I've actually
to
seen
the
a
Hellsbar Dam.
I've actually seen a video clip of the group investigation at Waverly, and yeah, I mean you've got a huge group of people all following one person around, and they're constantly moving. Nobody's quiet. Everybody's got a device out that's doing something. So yeah,
That's more for
I
the people that want to check it out but aren't really serious. They're too afraid to maybe go on their own. They just kind of want a little thrill for that night, and that's it.
yeah.
But yeah, I went
So
to yeah, go ahead.
okay, no, go, please.
Oh, I went to the Hellsbar Dam back in January of 2019, I believe, and
hmm
there was a different group of people running it that's running it now, and they were just, it's a long story. I guess I won't get into all that, but I was the only one there besides them. And they were downstairs by the gate waiting for a group to come in. So I had the place pretty much all to myself. And I was down in the tunnels for 1, 2 hours. I don't know. I was down there for a long time. And yeah, I had a chair move on me down there. That was pretty scary
Wow.
stuff. It was crazy down there. Um, but yeah, they finally came in and they said, "We've been worried about you. I don't know anybody that stayed down here that long all this time." But what's really crazy is the last time I went there, um, they had cleaned it up. These new people that have it, they've cleaned it up, made it look nice. They do like little Halloween stuff, all this other stuff. They had big openings, and I don't know if it's still this way or not. It was when I went. Um, they had one of the openings had these three chairs, and the one in the center was the one that moved on me. And they said some bad stuff had happened in the tunnel, and somebody had conjured whatever. I don't know. They said that chair was like cursed. And they said the guy
Hmm.
that moved it from the tunnel up there to the front where it is now had a real bad accident on the bar. I don't know if he like cut his finger off. It was something pretty bad. But they were afraid. So that chair may still be there because they may be afraid to move it. But I was like, that's that chair that moved on me. So that's pretty crazy. But yeah, the Hillsborough Dam's very haunted. But I don't know if they'll ever start having private investigations again. I don't even think they're doing group right now anymore. They're all into the whiskey they're selling. But yeah, I did the group thing. The last time I was there, we did the group thing, and it was just too many people. There's not enough room down there. There's only so many places you can go. So, but yeah, doing an alone investigation or with one other person is the best if you go there, if they ever start again. But, yeah. But I don't know. I've gotten, you know, you and I were talking before the stream started about, you know, sometimes going at night you get better things than during the day. But there was this cemetery I went to in Chattanooga. It was just beautiful old cemetery I wanted to check out. And I was getting voices in my camera then, and I had no idea. Just walking around, didn't have a recording thing to spirit box or nothing. They were just talking in the camera I was using. So that was pretty crazy. But yeah, it's hard to do stuff at night. You know, it's rare that I go somewhere at night by myself, but if I do, I don't stray too far from my car. But every once in a while, Kevin will go with me and sit in the car and watch me. But
yeah.
Oh, I think the last time he did.
I was just going to say it's always best to have somebody at least just sitting in a car.
Yeah,
you know, a quote unquote security guy just kind of sitting there watching the one way in, one way out.
Yep, for sure. But yeah, he was the last time he sat in the car. I was out investigating, and he had the window down, and he said it felt to him like somebody walked up to his window. It was like,
really? Wow.
Do what? He's sitting over here saying. Wasn't hollering at you. Oh, yeah. We had a woman hollering at us that night. I couldn't tell if it was a woman or a man. She's like, hey, assholes. And I heard lights and I went to running. And the funniest thing, I've never seen this on my channel. The funniest thing was it was months and months later. This woman messages me on Facebook and she says, so-and-so at the Geraldine hardware store told me to check out your channel. I'm like, I don't even know so-and-so for the Geraldine hardware store, but okay. And she said, she came across that video and realized that was her yelling at me. And she said, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that was you. You can come back down here anytime you want.
Wow.
But
now I want to step off paranormal for just a sec. You know, without going into a lot of detail, you live in an area in Alabama where one of the most noted popular UFO stories come out of.
Yes.
And have you how much have you looked into that? Since
since I started doing the channel, not a whole lot, because there's, I just, found stuff on YouTube, some of the old news reports. You remember the show Sightings back in the 90s?
Mm-hmm.
They had the guy that would do, there was a sightings episode. So I put some of that I sort of combined several things into a video about it. But, I was one of the teenagers in the 90s that would go riding around looking for these UFOs. But there was cattle mutilations. All that stuff was going on. It was scary and really weird at the same time, but it was short lived, and it just hasn't happened anymore since then. So there's nobody really for me to go ask. The one person I knew probably to go ask, he's no longer living. Somebody that was in the law enforcement back then. I don't think he's living anymore. So yeah, but I don't know why, of all places, that they would do it at a town with less than, there's not even 1,000 people that live in this town, probably just a few hundred. I don't know. Really short town. One of these towns that you drive through and you blink and it's gone. So I don't know.
Sounds like my town.
It's a strange thing. Yeah. It's a strange thing. And there was rumors that maybe the military was involved with it. So I don't know.
Wow.
It was just a strange
it sounds
event
like there's
that
as much. Yeah, it sounds like there's as much myth and mystery around your the sightings and stuff at your location as there was with the Pope Lick, the Pope Lick monster and the UFO legend from Pope Lick. Are you familiar with that one?
No,
I think it's Yeah, I think it's Pope Lick. I think it's Virginia.
Okay.
Back in the 50s or early 60s, kids seen something land in a woods, and when they went out to investigate, I guess the one boy's mother was with them, or two of the boys' mom, or something like that, and they saw this large, I don't know, it was like 7, 8, 9 feet tall. It had like a round face with two glowing eyes and had almost a teardrop type thing around its head. And they reported it to the police. The police went out there and looked. There's been numerous sightings of this thing, but it's all been hearsay and hand-drawn pictures. So
yeah, we have I guess the little monster around here is the white thing, THANG, because we're southern, I guess. The white thing, which is Bigfoot, but it's white. And I don't know, maybe it's just not as tall, but there are other regular Bigfoot sightings like down there in the Talladega Forest where I was. But I
want to touch on that too. Oh, please go on, and we'll get to.
I was just going to say, I was also told that not far off from where I am right now, that a dog man sighting had happened.
Oh, cool.
You told me about that. Kevin's over here laughing about that. He's the one that told me about it. Someone had sighted it in their yard.
That's actually very cool. I mean, being in Michigan, we know all about the dog man here.
That's what I was going to say. I bet you've got that. That's the dog man capital where you live.
Yeah, right here around Lake Michigan, over here in Michigan, and over in Wisconsin, the Beast of Bray Road.
Yes, the Bray Road.
This is kind of the dogman capital of North America right here. Just not 70 miles north of here is where our most recent dogman sightings have come in at. So
really?
I wanted to go up. I wanted to do an expedition last October, up into Manistee State Forest and do a camping trip, and just film for the weekend. And I couldn't get anybody to go with me.
Oh shoot!
It's like, come on, I know half of you guys carry a 9mm at the least, and you're afraid of a little dog. Seriously.
Heck, I'd go. I'd be like, hey, let's go find Dog Man. Yeah. I mean, we all think that we'd want to see something like that, but then I don't know, the emotions you'd probably get if you did, you probably would have wished you never did. From what people
see, that's possible. That's possible. I mean, we as investigators, we're always curious to go out and find the irrefutable evidence that these things really exist. But as human beings, we're kind of get to that point where if you think in the back of your head, now if I'm really out on out in the woods and I'm holding a flashlight and this thing steps out of the woods onto the trail in front of me, I'm probably going to pee on myself
Oh yeah.
and scream like a little girl and and hand my sandwich to the guy as I'm passing him by, because I don't got to be faster than the beast. I just got to be faster than the slowest guy. So, and I'm going to run right back to the car and climb in the trunk.
That's so true.
So, let's move on to the history and the mysteries that you investigated. So, how long have you had your Histories and Mysteries channel?
Since 2018, since about, I think, August 2018. I think that's when I started. And trying to think of the name of it, it was just a little bit of both. I knew I wanted to do, like I said, the paranormal history stuff goes side by side, but then I like legends too. And that name kind of just came up. Histories, Mysteries kind of rhyme with Jessie. So I don't know. It just kind of came to me to call it that. So maybe we can include all that. But I really love hearing about legends and the cryptid stuff just as much as I do the paranormal stuff. So, but yeah, it's going to see legends. Like we have a cemetery up the road that there's a grave. Everybody said that she was a witch, and that if you lay pennies face up around her grave, you come back the next day, they're flipped. The coins are flipped. We tried that out, there was one, our local crybaby bridge. I failed on that one, but what else? There was a place in Gadsden called it's the Legend of the Witch of Hines Road. And she was supposedly a witch that ate children, and the locals went up there to get her and burned her house, and she hid out in a cave. It took me a little bit to find the place. And I went up there with a friend, and we got some nasty stuff on the spirit box, but but it's gotten a lot of views because that's a legend that is on hauntedplaces.com or whatever. So a lot of people, and then some of them are just like that cemetery with the supposed witch with the coins being flipped. There was a church that was right across from that at one point, and if it weren't for somebody that just knows what the locals used to say, nobody would know this, but they said the organ would play in that abandoned church at night. It's not there anymore. But,
Wow.
I've learned a lot about different things. They said that, yeah, they'd be out there at night. And one a road up from a cemetery I used to go to, or I have gone to, there's a old house, and the gentleman that grew up in that house, he said that his dad would sit out on that porch at night, just an old, shack looking house. And he said that like a soldier on a horse would be, a headless guy would come down that road about midnight and then turn around and go back on certain nights. So, I mean,
wow.
some residual thing going on. But there's, that just goes back to, if you ask, I think the very first video I ever did said, there's something about, explore around where you live, ask questions, because you would be surprised at how much history and legends that are just in your area that you have no clue about. Because you don't know that when you start talking to people, they might know so and so who might know so and so, and you can find out what some of these stories are, and it may be about places you pass every day, or could have occurred at this certain place, and you would have no idea. So there's just so much history out there being lost to time, basically. And so that's a lot. I've always been a huge history buff, growing up, and I love hearing about things that my dad's more. I'm not so much into the war stuff. That's my dad. He's a buff on all that, and I guess I'm more into the I don't know, the legendary stuff or really cool stories about certain people.
Keep talking. I got to make a run to the outhouse real quick. One of the pains about being a diabetic. But you keep right on talking.
Heart.
I'll be right back because I want to touch on the on a little bit of the Civil War and things like that down there. Some of the cemeteries and stuff. Okay, I'll be right back, guys.
Sure. Okay. So while he's gone and I'm sitting here on my own, I'll just read y'all something. To everybody in the chat, hey, if I hadn't said hi to you already, I haven't been able to look at it. Flare chat. So this is a really neat article that I really like. It's about cemeteries. It's not too long, but thought y'all might find it interesting. Talking about just how cool all cemeteries are. And the South. It's called Oh These Tombs, and it's written by a guy named Harvey Jackson. He's a professor at Jacksonville State University here in Alabama. Their first is a little quote that says, "I was strolling one day in a lonely graveyard when a voice from the tomb seemed to say, 'I once lived as you lived, walked and talked as you talk. But from earth I was soon called away.'" And it's an early 19th century folk song. He may be back before maybe get done. But he's back already. I won't do that then. I'll post it on my social media later. I was telling them about this cool article I'll share with them, but I'll put it on my social media later. Written by a guy. It was in January 2022 from Jacksonville State University. Just talking about, old graveyards in the South. It's real cool. There's this folk song quote. It just says, "I was strolling one day in a lonely graveyard where the voice from the tomb seemed to say, 'I once lived as you lived, walked and talked as you talked, but from earth I was soon called away.'" And it says it's an early 19th century folk song, which I've actually come across several graves that says something to the effect, I once walked by as you did and looked at this as you have, and one day you'll be like me and you'll be gone where I'm gone. And so that must have been a thing at one time to have those sayings put on some of those tombstones.
Yeah, I think at one point in time it was real common, and you can still do it today. If you request when the tombstone's made, but I think it was common practice back in like the 19th century to put some kind of a, well, it's kind of like out west you have, poor Dave Moore killed with a 44.
Yeah.
Shot 6 times, no less, no more. Things. I don't know.
My dad's going to be buried at the Chattanooga National Cemetery, and he was looking at some graves out there, and he says you can have like a little something or another put on your stone. And his wife put on his, "Have you mowed the grass today?" He said, "Damn, I wouldn't have liked to have been married to her." But there's
wow.
a stone not far from where I work, and evidently the guy worked at a local mill and said he sure could fix a sock machine or something like that. That I get tickled saying stuff like that.
Carrie just said Lester Moore is an actual gravestone somewhere in Arizona. It was Lester Moore. I think it was Lester Moore shot 6 times with a 44, no less, no more. So
Okay.
now, I know there was some Civil War action in Alabama. There wasn't a
Oh yeah.
lot, but there was some. Have you ever, during your cemetery investigations, ever ran across Union or Confederate troops that were eager to talk?
Every cemetery. Every cemetery I go to, there's somebody uh from the Civil War buried there. I've even spent several where Revolutionary War soldiers buried here. See, there was Chickamauga. Have you heard of the bat in Georgia, and the Battle of Chattanooga, and then
Yeah, Battle of
Chickamauga, Georgia?
Chickamauga. Mm-hmm.
So I've gone there,
Mm-hmm.
filmed a few times. You can get a lot of stuff there, and so what happened was when the troops were coming through trying to get there, some of them kind of going to Chattanooga, some of them kind of going to Chickamauga, and they were all about going after the railroads. And we have a lot of railroads out here. So there was skirmishes all over because I live in northeast Alabama. There are all kinds of skirmishes up through here. Where my
Mm-hmm.
grandmother's buried, there are probably 10 or more soldiers. They don't know who they are. They're just, died there in a skirmish and got buried there. Um, but yeah, there. One of the cemeteries I went to over in Woodville wasn't far at all from the actual railroad. The railroad is not far off from the cemetery anyway. But they say that at nighttime you can hear the soldiers yelling at night or calling at night or something. But there's legends and stories about hearing soldiers or seeing soldiers at a lot of places around here. But yeah, and my dad, like, he lives in Chattanooga and he's found all kinds of places out there, but um I never realized until I started doing this how many skirmishes and battles or whatever happened here. Because you grow up and you hear about Chickamauga, you hear about Chattanooga, but not about Alabama. And there was a bunch of them. And they're just not as talked about because it didn't involve a huge amount of people in some of these. But yeah, there was a whole big thing about the Union trying to take over all of our railroads so that they could get in Chattanooga and control the railroad. And there's a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Atlanta, right there around Atlanta, was really popular with Sherman's March to the Sea,
Oh
and
yeah.
they were notorious for, and we actually reenacted this at a reenactment one time. They would rip up the railroad rails, and they would set these pull up the ties, and they'd set these large fires, put the rails on them, and get them red hot. Then they would bend them around trees. They were called Sherman's bow ties.
Oh wow,
That way, the
hadn't heard about
South
that.
couldn't use, yeah, the South couldn't use those rail systems anymore to transport
Okay.
goods or troops or anything. But that
Yeah,
was one of the big,
yeah,
yeah.
Atlanta's like just 2 hours away from me.
Okay.
Yeah, because Atlanta would
Wow.
be to my about 2 hours to my east.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
All right. So yeah,
So we was
Alabama
right
saw
on in
its
it.
fair action during the war.
Yes, and
Around the corner from my
uh,
house.
really kind of crazy is around Gulf Shores, which is our beach. There's
Mm-hmm.
Fort Morgan. And when I went there back when my kids were pretty small, it's been a long time ago. I remember walking around that place and I thought, this place has got to be haunted. I felt so weird in so many places. And there was families everywhere taking pictures, looking at stuff. And I got up on this one high point, was looking down at this other structure, part of the fort. You could see bullet holes. You knew that they were standing up people and just shooting them right there because there's bullet holes all in it. And it wasn't until I started doing ghost hunting I found out that it was notoriously haunted. I was like, I thought so because I felt some weird stuff when I was there. Yeah, there was a hole in the back that wasn't even. Yeah.
I have to comment on something that Dave Collier said in here. He lives in Virginia, and you're talking about Richmond, Virginia, and stuff, Dave. If you're real big into Civil War history, then I know you've heard of my ancestor that died in Richmond, Elmer Ellsworth, the leader of the Zouaves that went to pull that Confederate flag down off the hotel. I actually had family on both sides, like direct ancestors of my grandfather. We had Elmer Ellsworth that fought for the Union, and we had Lightning Ellsworth that ran with Morgan's Raiders. He was their telegraph specialist. And Lightning would actually scale the telegraph poles, and he'd tie into them, and he carried around a small telegraph system with him. And as they were coming up through Kentucky into southern Indiana and then moving east across Ohio, he'd keep climbing these poles and he'd keep sending false locations where the Union could intercept them. So here they are heading east, and it's like, oh yeah, we need help. Morgan's Raiders just sacked such and such town, and they're heading north towards Terre Haute, or they're heading over towards Vincennes, and here they are moving east into Ohio, and they came all the way from Sparta, Tennessee, and made it all the way over to the eastern edge of Ohio before they were finally caught. So he was apparently doing his job right. But yeah, Elmer Ellsworth was my grandfather's direct ancestor. So that's actually what got me interested in the Civil War, was knowing that I had family on both sides of it. So I've got to play both sides. I've been with a Confederate artillery unit, and I'm a captain with a Union unit. So
my dad's done some of that reenacting before too.
I've done it for 32 years. I keep telling my wife, if I don't show back home on a Sunday night, come to find where I was camped at, because chances are I probably died there. Doing what I like to do best.
Oh.
Outnumbered by the dead. So we are definitely outnumbered by the dead. Actually, yeah. Skipper, you make a good point. I just seen a thing today. Local news crew interviewed a group out of Detroit, and they said that Michigan is now considered the hub of paranormal activity, that there are more paranormal reports in the state of Michigan than there are any place else in the country per capita. And that's only because the living, if you take the number of people who have died across the country in the last 200 years, the living make up 1/3 of the total number of spirit that are in North America at this time. So yeah, we're definitely outnumbered by the dead. So,
and that's not just the ones we know about.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Julie Van D, good to see you. So you mentioned a couple different little cryptids and stuff down there in your area. Do you ever go out looking to see where there's been a report or a sighting or something, going out and looking for them?
I've been out a
And
couple of times.
did you do this alone too?
Oh, yeah. One time I went out by myself and didn't go too far off the road. The next time I was in the backside of this girl's property that had reports that there could be something back there. Now that was at night and was with her, so I wasn't alone then. There is a place close to me that I know, I don't know if it's recent anymore, but there was a sighting in a certain spot that I said I wouldn't say where. But the problem is I'm going to have to ask somebody because I don't know exactly how to get to it. I know the general area, but I don't know the exact part of the general area where that would be. I've asked my husband. He said he never heard of that path, so I don't. But I would like to go. I've asked him to carry me, so I don't know. Now, tomorrow, Jared said we might go to a place he knows that Bigfoot has been sighted. So we might all go out there together, tromp around tomorrow and see if we might see or hear anything. So that would be interesting.
Very interesting. Thank you, Stephen. I really appreciate that. But it was my wife's grandma. But, you know, for those of you that have been with me for the longest, hey, John, good to see you, bud. You guys know, what happened to me back in 2016, with the diabetic shock and dying and coming back and dying again and coming back. And then when my lungs started failing, they put me in the coma. After I come out of the coma and I recovered and I came home, my doctor didn't want me working because my blood sugar would not drop below 350. So I started taking care of my wife's grandmother, who was already starting to show the beginning sets of Alzheimer's. Well, it was just a month or so after I got out of the hospital, she had her stroke. So she really needed help. I mean, she's still functional, but it messed up her language center in her brain and stuff. So for the last 7 years, that's all I've done is take care of grandma. So she was kind of like my grandma too. She was my biggest fan with my paranormal. When I first started this channel, or started my original channel in 2019, I sat at the kitchen table with her and I've done my videos. And then it got to the point where so many times I would be recording and she would be trying to talk to me thinking I was talking to her. It came to the point where whenever she would lay down for a nap, I went out to the shed. And that's where you'll hear me every once in a while use the phrase shedio. Well, that's what it was. It was my shedio. I had a backdrop and my camera set up and everything. That's where I done all my videos, my live streams. And, here within the last couple of years, I had to move in the house to keep an eye on her. And, yes, I mean, she was a lot like my grandma too. So, I mean, I really appreciate that, but it was a hit to all of us. But, it's just something that happens, and we know she's here with us. So, we're good. She's never going anywhere. So is there any, let me think, oh man, we only got about 10 minutes left. Are there places you've never had a chance to go that you've always wanted to?
I would love to go to Sleepy Hollow, and I would really love to go to Scotland. There's some places in Scotland I would really love to go to. So that would be my dream, to get to go do some filming out there, and some places in Ireland. Oh my God, too.
Tell me.
Yeah, I can think
of
some places.
Well, I know we're both Scotch-Irish, so that only makes sense. I mean, you and I are both Scotch-Irish descent. And, we have Drew in here for Drew's Paranormal over in Scotland. I think Chris was in here a little bit ago from Scotland. And the way I look at it, our country as a country, as a nation, as a group, has only been here for 300 years.
Yeah.
Over there, we have 3,000 years of history. And I was just saying this in a live stream with Drew and Mystical and stuff here a few weeks or yeah last night or a couple nights ago. There are people living in houses in Scotland that are older than this nation.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like, my God, y'all, you're living in a house that was built 500 years ago. I mean, come on. There's all kinds of history there. Not to mention the battlefields for the fight for Scotland's independence, and Ireland the same way with the Norman invasion and the invasion from the English and everything. I mean, there's just so much damn history there that's just waiting to be found.
Yeah. It's amazing to me when I hear stories or watch like haunted videos about places over there, and they'll talk about, well, this part was built this year and that year, and I'm like, I just can't imagine that. And even some of the cemeteries, are so old. I just can't imagine coming across a grave of somebody that was, say, buried in the 1500s. I mean, that's just, the earliest we see here is maybe 1700s. Even that's really early. Usually the earliest we see is 1800s. But I see so many that at least have one grave of somebody that says they were from Scotland. A lot of them were from Edinburgh. A good bit of them that are buried out here. And I'm thinking, I would love to go to Edinburgh, and they've come all the way over here in the middle of freaking nowhere, and this is where they wanted to come and where they lived out the rest of their life, and where they died was out here. So that's just amazing to me. But talking about old places,
well,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Alabama's not too far off. A lot of your Scottish Highlanders, your Highland clans, settled in North Carolina and South Carolina because of the mountains. It reminded them of the Highlands. So Alabama's not far off. Oh yeah.
I live on Sand Mountain, and then there's a valley, and then there's Lookout Mountain. So yeah. And then there's Skyline Mountain. As Kevin says, it's all mountains out here where I live. So, but yeah, you talk about the old places, do you think about that ancient Ram Inn over in England? My gosh, that sucker's been there since pagan times. And then it was like an inn or a coach house or a bar, and then it went all the way to that guy that had it that's, passed on. I think his daughter runs it. I just can't imagine. I think I've seen in a video where he had part of the original wall you could see, and he had like a piece of glass or plastic over it to protect it. But can you imagine a place that old? Yeah, you just don't. The oldest places I've seen here are, what we call like little, not even really, it's not really, wouldn't really be a cabin in because it would just be made out of regular wood, but little shack cabins or something from, maybe the 30s. We've got a lot of them still standing from the 1930s, but gosh, anything older than that is probably going to be a building that is a courthouse, or they try to put a lot of these old buildings on the historic records list. There's a few of them that people actually live in, but usually it's a business or something. So I mean, just not.
Now, have you ever looked into going up to your local courthouse or your county records or something and seeing if you could find listings for some of the original homesteads in your county?
Well, I know where the records are because I go to the judge of probate's office all the time. I just don't know how to look all that stuff up. But I know there's probably somebody there that does. Where I live, is not that old where I live, because this was all Cherokee Indian land where I live. This whole mountain was Cherokee Indian. So down in the valley is where some of them would stay, and that was like the early 1800s. They were too scared to come up on the mountain, up on this mountain where I live, because they're like, that's where the Indians live. Well, it was like you said, some of the braver Scotch Irish people kind of made their way up the mountain, and we cleared off this spot. As far as I know, nobody's lived on this spot we're living on right now. But now Kevin's found, what'd you find out here one time when we were cleaning off the place? He found a really old axe out here one day. And a what?
Broke plate.
And he found a broke plate. How old was it? He don't know. He said it looked really old. I mean, as far as I know, this is probably just somebody's woods somewhere.
Yeah. Now, have you ever thought about just sitting out in your yard and doing an investigation, turning on your equipment and just sitting out there?
Yes, I have before. I've got.
Did you get anything?
Yes. Yeah. I've got some stuff sitting outside. Like sometimes I'll do live streams and just sit outside to do that, but it's kind of rare. But I did one where I went out in my woods and sat down, and stuff was coming through. But yeah, Kevin wasn't too happy with me when he found out about it. But he don't want me doing any of that spirit box stuff out here on our property, but I did. But yeah,
I've done a few of them here in the house. Sure. My wife hates it too.
I did one in the vehicle one time on a live stream, just to have a quiet place to do a live stream, because Kevin and the boys were watching TV and stuff, and I kept getting somebody saying that they died in a tornado, and it's like, man, you talked before the stream or something. I was telling you how we had that tornado back in 2011. Could have been somebody from there. I even did like a video about the tornado where I went to the memorial forum and got responses. But I thought that was really weird that I got responses out here in my yard. I mean, I don't know. It was really strange, but I don't know. Small world.
Well, the thing about the Cherokee, it's one thing I always liked about them. Their burial grounds were never very far from their villages. They were very much with their dead like we are today, where we like to keep the family close together. So there's every possibility that somewhere right there around your area, down in one of those valleys or something, there could be a burial ground.
There is.
Well,
there's actually there's a cemetery I filmed at that's I guess you could say part of the way up the mountain on the side road. And I saw, oh, this is a cool old cemetery. And there was a sign and it said for information or to report vandalism or whatever, call this person. It was somebody I knew really well. So I messaged him on Facebook and I said, what can you tell me about this cemetery? And he said it was an old Indian burial ground and the whites took it over after the Indians were gone. And he told me that that's what happened out here, was that pretty much all the Native American burial grounds were taken over and used by the whites after they got gone. And the Trail of Tears, because the Trail of Tears happened here, like down in the valley in between where I live on Sand Mountain and Lookout Mountain. There's Fort Payne, and Pain is really historic place. There's actually a site of an old cabin where the Indians were held as they were taken away on the Trail of Tears. So, yeah,
Oh,
there was.
wow.
We got a lot of caves going off the side of the mountain, so there was a lot of Indians that hid and was able to stay
Yeah.
and didn't go. But
Yep.
there was a lot that got gone, and yeah. So their burial grounds are out here. They just and usually, I think they just. Of course, we have a lot of people out here that just used wrote their own graves and stuff. But there's so many graves I go to that are nothing but rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Are they white people? Are they Native American? I don't know. And there's been several cemeteries I've gone to that I'm pretty sure that, okay, I think this was one of those that was probably Native to start with. You can just get that feeling. But yeah, but all around here, from one side of this mountain to the other, you see them and you think, I bet, But
Wow.
it's pretty wild. And another thing, seem like you hear a lot of Native stories about Sasquatch, and there was reports of some being up here too. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yep. Just
There's
about
a lot
every
of Native
native
American
culture.
history.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Just about every native culture had a Sasquatch something. The man of the wood, the furry man, the hairy man, the hairy woodsman, the something. But yeah, you were talking about the caves, and then we gotta end this. The the person that took over teaching me about native heritage was Eastern Cherokee, and he had explained to me that the difference. Now, understand the original way to pronounce Cherokee was Tsalagi or Tsaragi, TSA-RA-GI, Tsaragi. Well, the Tsaragi were moved westward to Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and on the Trail of Tears. And the ones who hid in the caves became known as the Tsalagi, the frog eaters, because they lived on whatever little critter they could find while they were hiding in these caves while the military was cleaning everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
And then after, they left, then these people would come from the caves, which is also where the legend of the birth of the people came from, coming from the belly of the mother, crawling out of these caves. So very interesting. But
my husband's got a grandmother that was on the Trail of Tears that went out to Oklahoma.
Oh wow.
His great whatever grandmother. But yeah. And there is a video, if you're interested in watching, on my channel called All for Peace, where I show you some remote, can't get to it, but on a boat areas where the Cherokee Nation's capital was in Tennessee. So if you're interested in seeing where that was, just got my dad's drone footage in it and everything, so it's pretty cool. Their very last chief, we went to his grave, was out there on that island, so it was very interesting.
Their capital. Are you talking about what is it? New Dakota or
Dakota? Mm-hmm. That's where we went. Dakota.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's where we went. It's underwater now. But
oh wow.
I did spirit box over the water. Like my dad said that back when I was a kid that it got down enough. He actually saw totem poles coming out of the water. So somebody at some point has removed them. But that's where it was. And when Tennessee, the dam flooding came for power. It's underwater now. That's why it's underwater. But there's a little island, and that's where the chief is buried. And it's just kind of, and they've got a big circle out there with all the bear tribe, the whatever tribe out there. And so, yeah, we got
Oh wow.
we went out there and videoed all that. So it was real. And then we went to Nancy Ward's grave, and to the block house, and some other little fort that's out there. But it was like 3 different things we stopped at. But it's called Off for Peace, but you got to go back a little ways in my video to find it. So, but it's got a
Wow.
little on the
Now,
ground footage and drone footage.
one other little thing about the Cherokee, and then I'm going to let everybody go and do their family thing. Try to finish a little bit of St. Patrick's Day with your family. There were 7 clans, and I can't get my shirt sleeve up to show you, but I've actually got a tattoo of the Cherokee Star on my upper arm, and there's 7 points to the Cherokee Star, and that was each of the 7 clans. But the center of the star was the Bear Clan. It was the Medicine Clan.
Oh.
And how those people got their name is they would follow the bear around, and if the bear had diarrhea, they would see what the bear ate that made his diarrhea stop, and that's what they would feed the people, what plant or whatever. If somebody,
I always wonder how they knew.
Yeah, that's how the Bear Clan got their name, according to legend, is they would follow the bear around, and they would learn by watching what the bear done, and then they would associate it with whatever ailment was affecting the people. And much like the blue jay, supposedly, according to Eastern Cherokee legend, if you take blue jay feathers and you boil them in water and let a baby drink the water, it'll cure smallpox.
What? How did they
hence
figure
why
that
the blue
one
jay,
out?
I don't know, but hence why the blue jay is called the protector of children.
Wow.
Oh yeah. I learned a lot from Little Crow before he walked on. He was a very, very dear friend. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much, Jessie, for coming in and joining us tonight. That was great.
Thank you for inviting me.
That was great. Oh, you're welcome, dear. You're welcome. Anytime. The rest of you guys have a good watch. Hey, Beth. Sorry, hon. Good to see you. The rest of you guys go and enjoy what's left of your St. Patty's Day with your loved ones or your fur babies or whatever. Hey, Bud Files. Good to see you. We're out of here. You guys, don't forget, Jessie will be at King Con. You want to plug it real quick, Jess? You know the location and everything.
Sure. It's the location. I can tell you in just 1 second. It is in McMinnville, Tennessee. Let me find my chat with Jared here exactly. Shoot. Let's see. Hang on a second. Lucky's Community Center, 8406 Lucky Road in McMinnville, 12 p.m. Central Time. And we're going to meet and hang out a little bit and maybe go out and do some filming.
There you go, guys. If you're in that area, Jared King TV is going to be hosting that event. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. I wish I could make it down, but finances and the fact that I'm already promised the Historical Society to do the Living History Trade Show in Kalamazoo, which I would probably do anyway because, as most of you guys know, that was the very first video. The Living History Trade Show in Kalamazoo, Michigan was the very first video I ever done for this channel 2 days after starting the channel and not knowing what the hell I was going to do on it. And I went to do the trade show, and it's like living history comes alive. So, and now here we are 4 years later on our second channel, and we're living history's mysteries, and not just doing the history, but we're also doing the mysteries that history left behind. So yes, Justin, we are ready for tomorrow. I even got my really awesome gambler's outfit out and ready to dress up and be pretty tomorrow. I'm even going to shave. So, but again, Jessie, thank you so much for coming in, hanging out with us for the last couple hours plus, and have a good evening. Have fun tomorrow at King Con. It sounds like it's going to be epic.
You too at your event.
The rest, oh yeah, definitely. And the rest of you guys, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you. God love you. We do. We'll catch y'all on Monday, 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time for morning coffee and chat. Y'all take care.
Bye.